And I've been given the green light, which means Zelo is ready. Tech is ready. I am ready. So here we are with Ultimate Doom UV Speed ran by Zelo.
All right, thank you very much, Cass. Hi, everyone. I'm Zello, however you want to say it. Never matters to me. So I am so happy to bring you what is pretty much the original Speed game. This is Ultimate Doom. So the original Doom was released in 1993 by id Software, and 2 years later they had a retail release with an expansion episode, and this is Ultimate Doom. So I'm going to be excited to show you what is like one of the most fun speed runs for me to show off, and a lot of great carnage here. Also, a nice little message right here in my save files. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. So the category is UV Speed. So we're going to play all 4 episodes of the game right here, the original 3 plus the expansion. And we're going to be playing on Ultra Violence difficulty, which is the hardest normal difficulty, because Nightmare was added later and gets its own special category. So with that, I think we'll get started in 3, 2,
離席してる間に始まってましたね。
Alright, so
はい、
here on
始まりました。
we're going to go to a secret real quick. We're going to grab an armor right here, which is very useful for reducing damage, and we're going to grab a shotgun right off the bat.
話によると、初代デュームのアッパーバージョンだそうです。アルティメットデュームは。
Strafe running, and this is very common with games in the early 90s, like FPS in the early 90s, where if you run at an angle
早いね。
by using forward or backwards and then strafing left or right at the same time, then you get the vectors are basically added together and you run faster. So this is what we call SR40 normally, and this gives us a 28% speed.
全部ドットでやってるのすごいな。
SR50 where we do that plus add a strafe key and a turn button, and that locks it, but gives us even more speed, 41%, which is useful for tricks. Now, coming up on E1 M3, this is one of the most difficult missions in the game already because there are a lot of shotgunners. Shotgunners are by far the
この
most
手の FPS の類はやったことないんですけど。
and I'm getting beat up. I'm going to go slow enough just to be able to try and eliminate shotgunners, but otherwise we're going to try and speed past everything else. So, because we have what are called hit scanners in this game, which are the zombie men and the shotgunners. Where basically, if they decide to target you, there's nothing you can do to avoid damage. They've just hit you instantly. It's not like a projectile where you can dodge. So far we're getting through okay. All the shotgunners decided to just completely ignore me. So this is really good luck here. I'm going to get on the stairs right here just to make sure we can get this started as early as possible. We have to wait. Barrels also do a bunch of explosive damage, so we want to be sure we just get those out of the way. But thankfully that was a pretty smooth E1 M3. Alright, so here's going to be like our first big sequence break right here. So they normally have to gather up a couple of keys, but with the SR50 I was talking about, we can get enough speed to hopefully cross this gap right here. It's a little tricky to make this. Sometimes you have to have a good angle. Don't have a good angle here.
UV ってのはこれあれですよ。最高難易度ウルトラバイオレンスだそうです。
We're gonna see if we get bugged right here. Oh, we got lift bugged. So there's a lift in this level that has the same properties as that door, and if the lift is activated by an enemy, that door will never open. It's a very silly map design error. Anyways, this is probably the hardest level in episode 1 right here.
何も引っかかることなく進んでるけども。
E1 is notorious. Despite being the very first episode, it is the most difficult outside of episode 4. So there's just a lot of combat. So with that, we're going to get more armor. We're going to get a rocket launcher. Rockets are extremely good. I managed to skip that line depth. That's funny. But there's just so much combat involved that getting the rocket launcher is very worth it. Does tons of damage, including you if you're not careful with it. We're going to play Pacifist once we cross a certain point here, so that we can avoid... Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say avoid a bunch of enemies, but the doors didn't even open up. I managed to skip opening the doors. So, that's some good luck. Grab this blur artifact right here. So this helps deal with the hit scanners. The blur artifact basically randomizes the accuracy of enemies a little bit. So it's bad for projectiles because you usually end up running into them, but it's good for hit scanners because we wouldn't be dodging them anyways. Very, very careful enemy management here. More rockets to clear out some enemies. And then the last room's a little scary because it's really dark. We're going to take a secret passage in the middle here. And there are a couple of pinkies in the last room, so we're going to clear them out with rockets. And thankfully nothing got in the way. So, good. Alright, so we have a nice little trick here. So normally this door stays locked for
早い
30
けど。
seconds at the beginning of this level. But
30分はだいぶ余裕持っての設定なのか、
we can just
この
have
調
the
子
door
で
go
それこそ
bonk on his head and be
25分ぐらいやり
like,
続ける
"Sorry,"
の
and then
が
politely go back up, and that stops us from being locked in the room. So that's a very nice instance of saving a lot of time for just a little bit of effort. And sometimes that really just shows how Doom can be, where you have to improvise positions and such, because everything in this game is very random. Monster movement is random, monster damage is random, the accuracy on weapons is random, your damage is random. It's a lot to manage. So we're going to take the secret passageway right here. We're going to open up a door. We're going to try and sneak past some imps coming up. This is a little tricky. I'm going to focus for just a second here. Okay, managed to sneak right past them. So it's very tight to get that. Usually they just tear you to shreds if you are anywhere near them without getting hit by instantly. So we get several rockets for later, as well as some extra health and another blur artifact. But the last room coming up in this level is pretty scary, as a bunch of enemies are going to flood the room when I get to the switch coming up. So we're going to try and play pacifist for a bit, make sure the room is clear, and we're just going to make a dash for the exit. Oh, I am blocked by a whole bunch of crap, so we're just going to have to let everything out, and hopefully not get too beat up here.
だいぶゴリ押してる。
That's what happens when things go wrong. It's okay, we got out. Alright, E1M7 is thankfully not as difficult as E1M5 was, but there are some scary parts, especially since I took a pretty bad beating in the last level. My armor's down. So there's two types of armor classes in this game. There's green armor, which reduces damage by 1/3, and there's blue armor, which reduces damage by 1/2. So most of my blue armor is already kind of worn out at this point. But we are going to get a lot of chain gun used here, chain gun being pretty useful in E1. Doing the chain gun cha-cha, as the manual likes to call it. It's really good at stunning enemies. Like, whenever you hit enemies, there's a pain chance, and the pain chance is basically the chance that enemies go in their stun animation and don't do anything, which is great for canceling their attacks and such. So, we're going to take this little lift passage right here. I have a bunch of extra rockets since I didn't get to use them at E1M6. This is great for the boss, so grab some extra health right here. Gonna play a little bit more pacifist after grabbing this key, because the monster closet opens when you get close to that blue key. That is a lot of enemies. We're going the other way. A monster closet opens, and we want to get ahead of that monster closet. They might still come out, so we're gonna see what happens right here. Okay, they stayed out of the way, so it's just a sprint to the end. We want to make sure we get rid of zombie men as much as possible, because the zombie men have the lowest amount of health, so we can just kind of cut through them. Shotgunners are dangerous too, so we'll target them if possible, but we try and avoid the imps, because the imps have quite a bit of HP compared to everything else. Alright, not a bad E1M7. And with that, we are on the boss level. So the bosses here are going to be two Barons of Hell. We're going to get a little bit of safety, because I have a tendency to blow myself up with a rocket launcher. Do a quick wall run right here. Gets me a little extra speed. Basically, if you do runs at very specific angles, you can get extra speed. So we're going to fire 3 rockets here, 4 rockets here, and then go in the middle and finish them off. So this is good. So we're going to do one last trick in E1, hopefully. We're going to hopefully do this run properly. We're going to go for it again. Just do a quick reload. So I can get just enough height with this lowering ledge.
なんかしようとしてるな。
And jump straight to the end. Which avoids
乗った。
the stairs of shame, as we like to call them. And then we blow ourselves up, and that is the end of E1, because that last room has a special sector where you finish the level when you get to 10% health, or less for story reasons. So, pretty good E1 overall. E2 is going to be a little bit less chaotic, aside from this very first level. There's just a bunch of pinkies up here. Like, this is where the design of the maps really starts to change, because most of Episode 1 was designed by John Romero, and then all of E2 and E3 were designed by Sandy Peterson. Sandy's maps are very different. We're also going to see the Cacodemon for the first time, basically the unofficial mascot of the Doom series. What a nice big meatball he is. Another one right there. Alright, so E2, M2, we're going to do a little bit of a... We're going to go a little bit off the beaten path. There is a path that goes straight to the end, but we're going to go and get a secret here, because we do want a plasma gun. Plasma is really, really good in this game. It's basically the jack-of-all-trades weapon. So we're going to go out of our way to pick up that in a bunch of cells. And normally you would have to get a bunch of keys in order to exit this level. But with an SR50 jump, if I set it up properly, you can just... Well, you can't jump straight to the We'll just hit the switch all the way from down there. So, the Doom engine is not a true 3D engine. So, height is kind of an offset instead of an actual Z-axis. So, everything has infinite height, and I can activate switches all the way from 20 feet down. which is bad, as I can allude to a little bit later in the run when we get to E3. Alright, I want to talk a little bit about speedrunning for this game, since I did say this was like the original speedrun game. So official speedruns of this game really started back in the mid-90s when this game was released. This game has a really great demo system, where it basically records your inputs, and due to the way the game's RNG system works, when you play back those set of inputs, the gameplay, the enemies behave the same way, and you basically watch a replay of everything in the engine. So this actually made Doom very popular back in the mid-90s. And into the late 90s as a speed game. And I'm actually playing this on a source port called DSDA Doom, which, if you don't know what a source port is, it's basically an executable that's been modified to run on a modern operating system with more quality of life features. DSDA Doom is great because I get widescreen support and such, but I can also elect to use the original physics of the original game, so it's still compatible with demo recordings, and this is just really great, and that's why the speedrun scene for Doom is still active to this day, which is excellent. But if the source port or such is not your cup of tea because of how difficult doing a single segment demo is, you can also run the modern re-releases of this game, such as the Kex port, which has its own board and is a little bit more friendly to RTA, which is great. Anyways, this is a great time for a quick announcement or donation if we have anything.
Absolutely, that sounds like a job for me. I just want to actually highlight to the viewers here that NoGlitchesAllowed also runs the Complete-a-thon. For those of you who are obsessed with side quests and collection, Complete-a-thon is a charity event dedicated to completionist speedruns. This includes 100% all collectibles or even categories where you collect all of a specific collectible, such as all red berries or all shrines, just to name a few. If you're interested in getting involved or finding out more, make sure to join our Discord and follow us on Twitter to get updates about future events.
Thank you very much, Cass. So we're going to do a big trick. This is like one of the only real glitches here. So we're going to actually get out of bounds for this. I'm actually going to do a little bit of momentum preservation. So we have this rocket boost push us right out. So you have to be 32 units or faster in order to get past the wall. So now we're out of bounds. But I still need to hit the exit switch from outside. So what we're going to do is turn on vertical mouse. We're just going to barely inch forward here using vertical mouse movement. And if I hear the oomph sound, that means I'm too far to the right. If I hear nothing, that means I'm too far to the left. So that's how I know where I am. So hopefully we'll get this quick. This is a difficult trick to do quickly. But coming off of that, we have another big trick coming up. So like I said, we can't really jump because there's no Z-axis in this game. But what if we have a rocket push us really, really fast? That's basically our equivalent of rocket jumping. So we might take a few tries here. This is the most difficult rocket jump to get. Okay, second try is very good. So pretty quick set of tricks there. Those are like the big tricks in E2. And that brings us to the boss fight, which is the Cyber Demon. So Cyber Demon's really scary because his rockets are like my rockets. They do extreme amounts of damage. If a one hits me directly, it does anywhere from 148 to 288 damage. So we're just gonna barrel around him with the plasma, and hopefully he dies before I run out of ammo here. Oh, that was good RNG. Nice. And that is episode 2. So into episode 3, and it has a pretty miserable start. So we are in hell now. I have to get around these cacodemons, and they do not like to cooperate. So we're gonna see what happens here. It's very likely I die here a few times. Yep, they're not cooperating. Get out of the way. Okay. That's pretty typical E3 right there, where they just chomp you to death. And then we have this really long hallway for no reason with 5 pinkies in it. Sometimes I wonder what Sandy Peterson's logic was for this game. I love the level design as a whole, but running this one is an experience, especially when you pack 8 imps into this exit room. We'll kill enough of them to be able to get into the exit, and that's good. Alright, nothing too interesting about this level. We're just going to pick up a hidden plasma gun from the secret. But the one thing that's always of note is that if you look at this map, if you look at this level on the map, it looks like a giant hand. Like I said, interesting level design as a whole. Bunch of lost souls in the way. Okay, so like I alluded to earlier, this game with no Z-axis can be sometimes a problem. So, because there's no proper Z-axis, this means enemies also have infinite height. So once I get onto this ledge with the mega armor, it is possible that a pinky will block me from 10 feet below. So we're going to hope that doesn't happen. Nope, he's blocking me. Okay, we got out of there quick. Okay. with that being said, we're gonna go pick up this hidden BFG, the Big Friendly Gun 9000, as is appropriate for this stream. So we're gonna get to use that a little bit later, and then we can just basically walk right into the exit here. The manipulation didn't quite go right. Okay. That's okay. We've got some backups here. I'm gonna go ahead and... No, this is actually enough help. This is fine. So, we're gonna do another trick here with the SR50. The way Doom checks things is a little bit of a weird order. So, it actually checks if you can pick up an item first before it can check if you are actually able to move there. So, what this means is I can get enough speed, grab a key through a wall, and then the game is like, oh, you're not supposed to be here, and then realizes that and puts me outside the wall. So hopefully we're going to get this first try, because there's a whole bunch of imps on my tail here. There we go, second try is pretty good. So yeah, I picked up enough speed with the SR50 to grab a key through that wall, and because I'm doing that clip backwards, that means I'm grabbing the key with my butt. So you heard it here, folks, it is canon that Doom Guy's got good booty. And with that being said, this level is just a giant teleporter maze, so this is also another great time for announcements.
Then I would like to jump in and remind everybody that we are, in fact, watching No Glitches Allowed 2025. No Glitches Allowed, or NoGA, is an annual charity event featuring speedruns that rely more on the execution of intended mechanics and then game-breaking glitches. We will be live from today through to Sunday, the April the 27th, raising money for the Go Rescue Pet Adoption Center. To see the full schedule, !schedule in chat. And if you would like to donate, !donate in chat will take you to our Tiltify page, where you can make a direct donation and make sure you put them towards some of the incredible incentives that we have going.
So this is our favorite texture in the game. This is called Fire Blue. It is the destroyer of streams, so we're going to look at it as much as possible right here. Although I have like no health, so I'm going to go out of my way to grab an invulnerability, because I have to actually take some damage to get to the exit here. Alright, so you saw me fire the BFG for a bit unsuccessfully. I can explain that real quick. So the BFG has two components. It has that giant ball that does 100 to 800 damage in 100 damage increments. But there's a secondary component to this. So when I fire it, the game locks in that angle. Then when the ball explodes like this, a bunch of invisible tracers fire from Doomguy's current position at the angle the ball was fired, in a cone angle. So what this means is the best way to fire the BFG is to fire it right at your target and then run straight up and give it a big friendly hug. And that's why it's the Big Friendly Gun 9000. So this level's pretty broken by SR50 here. This is another giant maze. There's a lot of mazes in episode 3. But with SR50, we can jump a lot of gaps that we're not intended to. And we can just skip doing a lot of intended switch flipping and such. So we get the yellow key early, we go over here, get to this switch that raises a bridge leading to the exits. There's a lot of lost souls over here, so we're going to lighten them out, because I need to make one last jump to the exit. And if I go too far, I actually soft lock, so we're just going to hopefully get this okay here. I have a setup. It's a little tricky. There we go. Alright. Not a bad limbo. And that brings us to the boss level. So this is the power of the BFG. So here's the Spider Mastermind. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Let's try that again. First death of all thanks to this. So, here is the Spider Mastermind. There was the Spider Mastermind. I can't believe it took 3 shots. That was really bad luck. And with that, we're into episode 4, which is the expansion episode. And anybody who has played this episode, especially this first level, knows how extremely dangerous this first level is. So we're just going to play very, very safe to make sure everything's dead. Because there's not much for resources here. There is 10% health and a green armor, and that is it. And I am using a bunch of rockets everywhere, too. So we're going to use SR50 to get this key through the fence right there, because it's doing a bunch of checks, so it's like how it was in E3M4 when I grabbed the key through the wall. And then I have to be very careful after getting this blue key, because a whole bunch of pinkies are now active in another room. So we're just going to slip right by everything by not waking them up. And then we immediately go into E4M2, so we're going to do another grab, but this time we're actually going to grab a BFG through the wall. And this has actually been known about for a long time. I think Stefan Winterfeld found it back in the day. I know he found a lot of things back in the day, so we're actually going to do this. Hopefully get this. Yeah, grab the BFG right through the wall, blow these cacodemons out of the way, and we're going to do a big jump that hopefully skips the rest of the level. I missed my jump on that. Got to be on the right angle.
Yep.
Alright, just barely made it. So now we're going to pick up all this plasma in this last round because I need all of these cells. Like, all of these cells. Oh, and now we have another rocket jump right here. This one's a little tricky because we're not going to do it off of a wall. We're actually going to do it off a moving target. Why is that lost soul in the way like that? I might actually need to reset the level. That lost soul is in an awful position. Okay, I'm actually going to reset the level. So this is why we have a very good safety save here. Let's try that again. I've never seen that happen. Never seen the lost soul just get stuck there. There we go. First try on the actual rocket jump, though. That's pretty nice. And finally...
Only in a marathon, am I right?
Only in a marathon. Well, with that, we finally have 2 easy levels. So if we have any last-minute announcements or donations, this is the last good time for it.
Well, I would like to announce that we have opened up a bid war for an upcoming run. Fear the Spotlight is going a bid war of Amy versus Vivian. So if you would like to help direct the runner on which way they are going for Fear the Spotlight, you've got a couple of hours for that one. It'll be happening just after Resident Evil 4 Remake, so exclamation point donate in chat if you would like to help us raise some money for a truly wonderful cause. And Zelo, I was saying to you beforehand that, you know, I played this game as a kid, and watching you do this now, like, I really have no idea how I managed to do this, because there's just so much going on at all times.
Yeah, especially in a run context. Like I said, Ultraviolence is the hardest normal difficulty, and some people thought that wasn't hard enough, and Nightmare was added because of it, so it's just a gamer thing. So, thankfully, we're gonna get some more supplies in this level. The game wants you to get a yellow key to open the exit, but why do that when there's this very inviting window you can jump out of that goes straight to the exit? That being said, we are now on the hardest level of the run by far. If you are an Episode 4 runner or a full game runner, this is the level you dread most. So we're gonna go and get all this plasma here. So, first, we're gonna skip to a very late portion of the level by making this jump into the teleporter, and then jump all the way to this ledge. So this skips most of the level. Yeah. Now we need to get to the end because there's a trigger near the red key that opens the exit area. I gotta get this Baron out of the way. He woke up. Go back to sleep. Alright, so once we hit this trigger, we're gonna wake up the Cyber Demon. Now this is the most difficult Cyber Demon fight in all of Classic Doom out of the 4 official WADs. There's this very, very cramped space. There's this Cyber Demon that shoots rockets at you, that pelts you, and pretty much kills you instantly from this health. So we're gonna hopefully have the Cyber Demon in fight with other enemies. This is not a good start.
Yeah.
So this is actually really sketchy here. Okay. Okay, he's pissed off, and now I'm pissed off because I got shot in the face.
47からか。
Yeah, this is pretty much, this is episode 4 right here. And my health is not in a good spot either, so that does not help. Oh my god. Yeah, the intended way of actually doing this, like in a casual playthrough, is you're supposed to get an invulnerability. You're supposed to get an invulnerability sphere that's way off in the level. That would have been good. The splash damage is so dangerous too, because yeah, you can dodge the actual rockets, but if the splash damage hits you, then you're probably dead. So hopefully this Kako does his job okay. Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, the double KO. Kako, do your job, man. Oh my goodness. I'm hoping I don't have to reset the level, which may happen.
リスタートが早い。
Hold on, hold on. There we go. I blacked him
よ
up.
ーし。落とせばよかったんや。
We're finally out of that mess. That is E4M6 in a nutshell. Thankfully, the last 2 levels are much, much easier as a whole. My health is really low though, so I'm actually gonna go get a an extra berserk pack so I can not die like that. We're gonna go get that berserk pack.
47から厳しいな。
Alright, so we do have one more SR50 trick coming up. We just need to not get knocked off course, and then we can jump straight to the exit platform. And remember how I said there's no like Z-axis or anything? We can actually activate this switch in the wall, in the floor still. Oh, I got knocked off course. So yeah, if you get knocked off course at all, it is completely screwed. Okay, there we go. And with that, that brings us to the last level of the run. Pretty easy one, all things considered, but there's been so many things that have happened in episode 4 that we're not going to take any chances. We're going to get this extra soul sphere back here. Because I do have to do one last rocket jump to finish this run. So all we need to do is get the yellow key first. We have to dodge a couple of Barons. Barons are way too tanky for me to want to try and actually fight. So we're just going to slide past them. Get one more soul sphere back here. Oh, I got shot a lot by enemies there. Okay. Set up this rocket jump, hopefully. There we go.
Yes.
Okay, and we kill another spider mastermind right here. So time is going to be when I exit the level by hitting the platform in the middle. So we're going to hopefully exit early by getting on this ledge right here. And jump straight in. And time.
Hey.
Alright, the run was really good.
Well done, mate.
Yeah, the run was really good up to E4M6, and then E4M6 happened. So that's pretty typical in what we expect for a full game. So I'm under 25 minutes. That's good enough. I consider anything under 25 a good run for Doom 1 because this run is extremely random and difficult, and I'm always very happy to show it off. If you would like to learn anything about this game, from casual playthroughs to getting set up to speedrunning, whether it's doing source port runs with demos or the modern re-releases that are more RTA style, you can get in touch with me or any of the other Doom runners around. But otherwise, I'm very happy to hear. I hope the rest of the marathon goes great. Keep donating and such, and I'll leave it to you, Cass, to take us out.
Zalo, thank you so much, mate. That was an incredible run, and we have another incredible run coming up next with Typing of the Dead. I think with Hammer Kick. I got a brief rundown of what Typing of the Dead was in the green room.